Chris here. Welcome to this episode of Let's Chat. Welcome to this episode of Let's Chat Live, a show where we do a weekly live interviews to connect you with the voices behind the podcast you want to listen to. I'm your host, Chris Revel. I am the Chief Creative Officer of Let's Chat Media, host of Let's Chat with Chris Revel, and co-host of this fine podcast. Today we have the opportunity to sit down with Jackie from Jackie Watches Stuff, and I already told this to her. I'm a fan. Absolutely, just I don't know. Got really. If you're a nerd like me, you're gonna love this show. So instead of rambling, why don't we just bring Jackie on so she can tell you about her show instead of me like murdering it? Jackie, welcome to the podcast.
That's the best intro I've ever gotten. Thank you, Chris.
I stuck to pre-script and then I lost myself about 3 times. So I was like, yeah.
Listen, if you say you're a fan, I'll take it. So thank you. Thank you.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, both as a fan and now both to prepare for this show. So I've learned quite a lot. Yeah. And I think it's best to start off the gate with compliments. The thing I liked about your show off the bat, you like had your intro like, and I made this mistake for years. You're like, this is Jackie Watches Stuff, a show where, which I'll let you do that part because I'll mess it up. And I was like, oh my God, this is like super polished. And it sounded really good. How long have you been doing it?
It only sounds good, I think, because I record, you record it once, cut it once, and then just keep reusing the audio file. So I think what I say is I'm chronicling my cinematic quest to finally watch the movies I probably should have already seen, and I'm bringing my friends along with me. So that's the elevator pitch of Jackie Watches Stuff. So
yeah. Now, what was it born out of? Was it just you wanted to watch stuff?
Yeah. So even like I have distinct memories of being in college, and I have a lot of nerdy friends, and they love pop culture, and they would make a pop culture reference, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. They'd be like, oh, it's from that movie, and it's like, I've never seen that movie, and then I would get yelled at or judged or whatever, and I created a open shared Google Doc and shared it with a bunch of people that I knew. And I just said, listen, throw a bunch of movies on there that you think I should see. And that was back in, I think, 2009, 10 that happened. So a long time ago that happened. But I don't know. I think COVID did it. I launched the podcast in last July, so almost a year ago. I was like, I just should just watch the movies I probably should see by now, and make my friends stop judging me. So that was kind of the idea.
I love that. I relate to that, and I relate to that. So I have a lot of misses, like a lot of I'm a huge pop culture fan, huge nerd for all that stuff, and just complete things that you'd be like The Godfather, and I'm Italian, never seen it.
Yep. I actually have seen The Godfather, and I should say hi to Josh.
Hey, what's up, Josh?
I know that that Josh Patel is a common name, but I know a Josh, and so a Josh Patel. So I don't know if this is the Josh that I know, but hello, it is so good to see you. Yeah, thanks. I'm super famous.
Is your friend Josh Patel a fan of drums? Because he's got the 808 in there, so I'm just assuming that there's some sort of drum machine reference. What the fuck is wrong with him?
I could believe it. So yeah, Josh, give me a thumbs up if you're the same Josh that I know. But yeah, it's been a blast so far. Podcasting's hard, but it's fun to do it with your friends, and so
so much more work than people give you credit for.
It is an insane amount of work. Is this where we start ranting about how much work it is to put together?
It's the kind of the place you could do it. Yeah, because I started my Let's Chat with Chris Revel in 2013. And there was 1 year I put out 60 episodes for some reason. I look back, and not anymore, but you look back at your life and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Maybe I was going through some stuff, but I did guest based, and it was always kind of a way. The way I always joke about it was more of a way to be trick people into being my friend, and to be I love this comedian, I love this actor, I love this TV show. I need to connect with them, and you can't just call your heroes on the phone. But if you have a podcast, it's surprising how many people will talk to you.
Yeah, there's folks that really want to, hang out with you. But then sometimes,
It's Josh.
Oh, hey, it's the Josh. Good to see you, Josh. I'm glad you could be here.
It's baby.
Yeah, I'm into it. But I don't know. Part of it's hard. I mean, you're also a podcaster that has to find a guest every week. I used to run a podcast called Higher Ed Social that was the same idea of like, let's find a guest every week. And my co-host and I said, how hard could it be? We're just going to interview people that work in higher ed. There's thousands of people that we could talk to across the country, but yet it's still kind of hard sometimes. So even if you like think of like, oh, I can interview every single person that likes, I don't know, the Marvel universe, it's still kind of going to get to a point where it's hard to find people to talk to on your show. So
hey, Sci-Fi Remnant, those are some of
Hi.
our good friends, our Let's Chat Club members. We love those kids.
Hi, Sci-Fi.
They have a great sci-fi podcast.
Ooh, I like
And
sci-fi.
I think they're doing one of my favorite movies too, District 9 coming up.
Ooh,
I think guys, am I right? You're doing that Saturday live stream, but I think I'm trying to hit that up because I love that movie.
I need to see it, so I'll try to watch it ahead of the live stream.
Maybe it makes it onto Jackie Losh's stuff.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, a lot of folks have opinions on what movies I should watch, and I feel like I need to do more classics first. Like I'm getting some folks that want me to do movies that came out in the last like 3 to 4 years, which is fine. But like there's a reason why you haven't seen them in the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But if I still haven't seen I just watched Castaway for the first time. So
I'm sensing a Tom Hanks theme from when
I am in the Tom Hanks season. Yes, we are in the Tom Hanks season right now.
We were talking before, and I was saying, I subscribed. I went to go scroll, and the first movie I see is That Thing You Do, which is such I love that movie, but it's such a niche movie that like not a lot of people know about. We think it was made for TV. If anyone out there can double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was made for. Because Tom Hanks like wrote and directed it.
He did. He wrote this film. I want to say he wrote it while he was. Yeah, I'm right. He wrote it while he was doing press for Forrest Gump, if I remember correctly. Which is bananas because it's like, wow, Tom Hanks. Not only were you Forrest Gump, but you were also writing a film. But but yeah, it was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed it. Super fun, and that song will be stuck in my head forever. So can't.
Yeah, and then Newfound Glory. There's like I like covers and like punk covers, or whatever. But Newfound Glory has one of their albums. They do that song, and so it's just like really high, just pop punk. It gets in the head forever.
Oh yeah, it's an earworm. So sorry, everyone.
It was not in the theaters.
Oh no, Casablanca is on my list. I see
another one from our buddy Chad. Shout out Chad. We love Chad.
Hi Chad.
Never seen Casablanca.
Nope. Or District 9. So
that I agree with what you're saying, because if you do 3 or 4 years, it's like that's not missed. That's still like whatever. There's
I still have time. Yeah.
District 9's like what, 15, 20 years old? It's old. It's I forgot who made it. It's actually like one of the. It has no right to be as good as it is. Like the concept of is like there's an alien invasion, and like it all takes place in South Africa. I forgot the filmmaker. He's the guy who made that like Hardcore Henry. I think it's like Sharp Toe. Really fascinating guy. But but like it's so weird because it's like the most normal mundane thing. It's just aliens are a metaphor for refugees. They live in a refugee camp, and like you follow this guy who's like in the Census Bureau, and then basically you have the evil. What the governments would do, right? Like trying to figure out how to take over their technology. It's like kind of like The Martian, how it's like sci-fi, but almost could be a documentary.
This is like deep. Like there's some layers.
I'm not like a huge sci-fi person, but that movie was just like, oh, Casablanca is a cult classic. Those dudes know movies too.
Yeah, I've been told Casablanca. It's on my list potentially for next season, actually. So look out. It might be there, but we'll see. We'll see.
That is so fun. I love it. Well, so you said you started in COVID, and COVID sucks. Hot take.
Yeah, it does.
But you kept going because there was I'm a bit of a podcast nerd, so I follow like the industry trends and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I forgot the numbers now, but like there was like 1 million podcasts got made in like a 3-month period. And then, this is the end of podcasting, and about 900,000 podcasts fell off a month later.
Yeah, I think it's just because, folks don't realize how much effort it really is. I mean, like I was saying, the first time I started podcasting was in, oh gosh, I want to say 2015 or 14. With a different podcast. Yeah, absolutely. And so and I got really burnt out, and my co-host, I was with the show for 5 years, and my co-host like kept it going, which was awesome. But it's hard work. It's a lot of work, and
A
I
lot
don't
of
know
work.
about you, but I work a 9 to 5 job, and this isn't my full-time job, and so
Same.
yeah, and my employer probably wouldn't want me to like do podcast work during the workday, so
Ooh.
so it's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I work at a hospital, so like it's like
Oh,
now I do. I mean, God, I've done it's I'm so jealous because I tried to quit my podcast, but I couldn't. I
yep,
had a period where I tried, but I like that. I was like, maybe I should do more than just like, wait, you can stop one?
you
Like
can
that, like,
stop.
you could end?
Yeah, you can say goodbye. And that's actually a big part of why I started Jackie Watches Stuff, was because I miss podcasting so much, but I knew that I didn't want to do podcasting forever. I know that's like a sin that some podcasters think, like, I'm just going to be like the next, Jesse Thorne or like McElroy family. And I'm just rambling on people I know that I love listening to
Yeah,
podcasts
I
of,
interviewed
but
Travis a few years back. Yeah,
okay,
it was
pinning that
yeah,
because,
it was
oh my God.
they were pretty big. They weren't what they are now.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I'll send you that one. That was a few years back. He really nice guy, really, really
oh my
nice
gosh, I
guy.
imagine.
It
But yeah,
was
I mean, it's like,
pretty nuts. I was like, yeah, I actually use them as an example all the time. I'm like, most people have no idea who they are, but when they did a tour, they did a live show in the Foxwoods in Connecticut. It's like a casino. Like the night before, it's Jerry Seinfeld, and the night after them is my brother, and me. Like
wow.
but that's podcasting, right? Like they're huge and
Yeah.
famous in our super hyper niche world.
Yep.
And I guarantee they can walk around with not a single person ever noticing them. I've heard it called like you're famous in certain rooms. That's my goal. I just want to be famous in certain rooms.
I get that. That's actually kind of cool because I don't know what I wanted Jackie Watches Stuff to become. I think really it's like I wanted it to be fun. And when it stops being fun and starts being stressful, that's when you really have to step back and say, like, is this what I want it to be?
You just got
Jackie
an
should watch a
invite.
sci-fi with you. I don't know if I'm getting an invite to your show or if you're asking
I
for an
think you
invite to
are.
my show, but we could definitely hang.
Yeah,
I'm here for some sci-fi.
Giancarlo and Robert are the best.
Let's do it. I don't know if I'm sure it counts as sci-fi, but one of my first episodes of Jackie Watches Stuff in the first season, I did the Star Wars original trilogy because I had not seen any of them. And so we did a 2-parter and it was a lot of fun. And it includes me doing a Yoda impression. So
what did you think? My wife is like a Star Wars fanatic. Example, I'm in my daughter's playroom / my wife's work from her own office. Everyone know this is my wife's office where she works her professional job.
professional
And
job.
behind the computer,
You need that.
and there's another baby Yoda behind me, and that's
I
also
mean,
hers. So
like,
yeah. So
live
what do
your
you think of the
truth.
Star Wars?
I mean, I'm glad that I now get to be like I'm glad I get to say Han shot first and understand what that means. I now know what it takes to be a Jedi, and I mean, I did know the spoiler of Luke, I am your father, because
Yeah,
while it seems like I live under a rock, I don't actually live under a rock, so I did know the big twist.
yeah.
But I was glad to be able to watch them. It was a lot of fun. I saw the bar dance, the
Oh
song
yeah.
scene.
I don't think I've actually ever seen them, to be honest. As we're talking, I'm like I've fallen asleep every time I've ever watched them.
Oh my gosh, I've seen more movies than you.
Yeah, well, I
more
love Mandalorian. Like
more
I'm a Star
movies.
Wars fan in the sense I love Mando, but like
Okay, I
the
have seen a
movies,
little of it.
Star Wars Rebels is cool. My wife is this. If it wasn't for her, I like it, but it's because of her.
See,
Oh,
that's
shout out to Seaball. What
hi,
up?
hi,
Oh, we love Seaball. It's one of our
welcome.
boys.
I love that we love everyone on the stream right now. Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
Nice to meet
we
you.
got
I
a
love
good
it.
crew. We
This is
really,
great. So great.
we really do. I feel for it. One of the greatest things about the podcast community truly is the most wonderful and kind human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I can't agree more. I've had the fortune of being able to get into like a meetup group of podcasters in my area. And I hope some of them are hanging out here today. So shout out to the Raleigh podcasters group if they're on. But it's so nice to just like sit and talk and hang. And while we're all technically competing for like a spot in somebody's ear, like literally, like it's just nice to be able to bounce ideas off each other and celebrate success and overcome that kind of stuff together. So yeah, I totally
I've
agree.
never thought of it as competition in the slightest. I was like, what? Like the fact that anyone's ever listened to my voice once, I'm just like, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You could listen to celebrities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like famous people that are doing really bad podcasts and
and they
like
all quit.
that is very true.
Mhm.
It does feel good to be like, oh, I have more stamina than like who did one recently? I don't know. There were a lot of celebs that
Literally anyone
decided
you
to do
could
it.
think of. At one point, I had gotten an email from one of the people from like the Real Housewives of OC was starting a podcast. Vicky, I think her name was, and and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then up and gone. I'll put it this
Yep.
way: we've booked podcasts like a month out, usually a month or two out for this thing. We've had people we've had booked, and they quit the podcast before they even came on to appear on our show.
Oh my
So then
gosh.
we're like starting to tweak it. Like maybe we need to find people a little bit farther into their
Yeah.
journeys. It's
That are or
and
like
no judgment. I've quit
yeah.
everything else in my entire life, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know when to step back, but it is so much work to put together a podcast, and that's why you really have to just like check yourself. Like you're probably not going to become famous. I'm really sorry. Like you're just not, and so like if you have to be happy putting it all together and putting all that effort into it.
So what would be a good starting episode for someone to come in? I mean, I went straight Tom Hanks, but
Oh man, yeah. I was gonna say like pick a movie I think that you like. I tried really hard to alternate like genres so that if you're like not a sci-fi person you don't want to listen to the Star Wars episode like but you really like comedy, I've got The Wedding Singer in there. I've got
you
Titanic
never
in
seen The
there.
Wedding
I
Singer?
had not, but now
Yeah,
I have.
I can't make fun. There's a million of those movies. I
Yeah,
guess
I was gonna
everyone can
say
say
you're
that,
just
but
gonna
like,
keep saying it.
yeah,
But
Titanic.
yeah,
I can see Titanic.
Titanic was a two-parter. It
I
took me
only saw that
longer.
because I was like 13 or 14 and internet wasn't what it was.
Yep.
I'll be honest. I wanted to see boobs. Like
I think that's
that's why
what
every boy my
most
age
people
and
did.
probably girl too who felt the same way.
It's just, I mean, watching them now is so different. It did take me longer, my guest and I longer, I think, to recap the Titanic than it did for the actual boat to sink. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a real stat. Um, but it's a two-parter, so you got to really commit. But it's good. It's worth it. We really, really rip on a lot of the characters. What else is going on? I mean, I did
Avatar? Are you gonna do a whole
Castaway.
Avatar episode? Like, no, I've seen Avatar.
I have seen Avatar actually,
Sorry.
like in theaters. Like I
Yeah,
feel really
same.
proud of myself when I get to say that I've seen it in theaters. But yeah, I would say like pick a movie that you really like, and start there. I hope that I do it justice. If you are if you're really like a film nerd, you should check out Jaws or Shawshank Redemption or Philadelphia because I brought on my friend Matt, who is like a film, like he loves film. If you really just like to find plot holes and stuff, go listen to my episode about Legally Blonde because my friend Emily and I rip apart the entire law system. So every episode's a little different. It's a lot of
I
fun.
haven't seen a single movie you just mentioned.
Okay, I feel so much better now.
I've
I feel
seen
so much better.
Shawshank on television, but never start to finish. Have you
Oh,
been to the where they filmed it upstate?
no,
I've
no.
oh yeah, I've been to that prison in Ticonderoga.
Oh my
Only
gosh.
driven by. It wasn't like a film tourist thing. It was just we were driving through
They
Ticonderoga.
have a 5K run there every year.
Too many Ks.
Yep.
Way too many.
Yep. So,
I'm more
but
of a
yes, it's
watch
a
a
lot of
movie,
fun.
talk about it person than
Yeah.
5K.
Yeah. Come hang, basically.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so. You said you were doing another podcast before. How did you get into just listen as a fan of podcasts, or even getting into that back in the day?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny that you just said you don't like 5Ks because it actually was because of running that I got into
I
podcasting.
mean, I love them. I'm very
So,
excited.
so yeah, I don't even know what year it was. In probably 20, maybe 13 or 14, I was training for my first half marathon, and it was kind of right when podcasts were like a thing, sort of. And I remember listening to Freakonomics a lot when I was training for my half marathon and listening to a couple other things. This was before I discovered Serial. I think like Serial is everybody's gateway podcast, but mine was
awesome.
Freakonomics. And
I love
so
Freakonomics.
it was good. I really enjoyed it.
I think
I
I read
don't still
one of the
listen.
books too at one point.
Oh, did you? I have not.
Or I was gonna, but I might have owned. All right, let's be honest. I took it up to the library.
I put it in my Amazon cart and I haven't bought it
yet. I could have, but yeah, I really got really into that too. I was really into that show for a while.
Yeah, so I started listening to that and was chatting with a friend saying like, "Oh, it'd be so fun to like podcast. And at the time I had a blog about like being a 20 something and figuring out my life. And I was like, oh, I could podcast about that. Maybe not. And he and I both work in higher education. And he's like, oh, well, we could do one together, about higher ed. And I said, like, what do we talk about? And at the time, this was like not a thing. Like higher ed podcasts didn't exist. Now they're everywhere. But we called it higher. It's still called. Say it like it's not here anymore. It's called Higher Ed Social. You should all go subscribe. And the whole premise was basically like, you're at a conference and this is the cool time when you're like at the bar and having a drink and just like chatting. So you're chatting about work, you're chatting about life, and let's talk to people that work in higher ed. So we did, and we did it for a long time. And then I started was working full time and got a master's degree at the same time. I was like, I can't. And so mental health is important. So I had to step away, but
does your shirt say therapy on it?
It says, have you considered therapy? This is where I plug my merch from the Jackie Watches Stuff merch store. Because that's great. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, well, I work in behavior. I work in a psychiatric hospital.
Oh, well, there you go. Therapy is so important. And I've realized, and this is a running thread in a lot of episodes of Jackie Watches Stuff, that many, many of these characters could solve their problems if they just went to therapy. And so we sell merch. So it's merch.jackiewatchesstuff.com if you want a shirt that says, have you considered therapy? Or a notebook or a pillow or whatever your heart desires.
My therapist, I love the show Bob's Burgers, and my therapist is like, Bob's Burgers would be terrible if Bob went to therapy. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Probably would.
He's like, yeah, like, oh, I mean, I'll be like 100. Yeah, I'm super. We talk about trauma and all that stuff on here all the time because it's just who we are. But like I did my show as a hobby for like 6 years, and then my daughter was born. My wife had a really traumatic birth and almost died. Then I had PTSD, and then things are great now, but like I was going to try to quit the show and stuff. But I honestly, I actually had quit and was too depressed to actually formally quit. Like I just kind of didn't tell anyone. I just didn't do it.
Yeah, it just fades.
And then like I found that and then because of therapy, it helped me refine my love of the podcast, and then like go from like as a hobby to like, we got to turn this into a career. And then it like went from like just doing Let's Chat with Chris Revel. Then I teamed up with my producer partner, Bree. And then we've added some other people. Seaball's one of our team cats at one point. And then like, but I give all that to therapy. And there's a long time too, where I realized like a lot of it was like, I'm sure you find this too, was like, it's just in my own way. Like I had the show was like at one point, like I was doing really well numbers wise, everything, but I was like, no, it's indie. It's going to be free. I don't want to make money. And like now looking back in therapy, it's like, oh, I was just terrified of success.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's given me so much help, and I think it helps you become a better host too. Cause like you just get more in tune to like listening.
That's a huge thing about podcasting that I had to learn especially when I started with Higher Ed Social, because it was supposed to be me, my co-host, and a guest. And so when you're trying to shove 3 people in like a 45-minute episode, like it's kind of about them. You have to let them really take the mic and go and just kind of support them. And it's very simple to take over. Oh, as I was gonna say, as Logan shows up, this is my old co-host Logan. He is the co-host of Higher Ed Social, and I think he would agree with me that we learned a lot about listening.
Shout out Logan.
So yeah, this is Logan.
That's so nice. I'm so glad we didn't talk.
That was great timing.
Bad words. I was going to be like, yo, you know what I hate? Logan, and then
I hate. Don't you hate those really, really lousy co-hosts? Like they're the worst. That's why I left the show.
I don't know you, Logan, but just based off your profile picture and you're on this thing, I assume you're nice. You're friends with Jackie, so I'm assuming.
He is actually the biggest of the nerds. So honestly, you guys should just hang. I might step out and you guys can talk about
just take over.
Really all the nerd things.
Yeah, I would love that. I worked in higher ed for a brief period too, in colleges for a while too.
Welcome. Yeah, higher ed is
Oh, he rewound. We're in trouble.
Well, I guess this is it. This is where I leave the show. This has been fun. Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
It's good knowing you. This is actually an intervention with Logan and I put together.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know what intervening.
Would not surprise me. But yeah, so that's kind of where my podcasting life started. So thanks to Logan for that. And I took a longer break from it, but I missed it. And so I really wanted to just do something a bit different. Also, because I work in higher education still. No offense to Logan, who's here now, but I really had to do something that wasn't higher ed. And so it's nice to just be doing something completely different than what I do during the day.
He's right. Your merch is great.
Jackie's merch. Thank you. Yeah, Logan has a shirt too. I'm
I
sure
love
he's
that.
wearing it right now. Definitely have a shirt.
And he said, no, you're right. I think there is something so nice about doing I just did an interview with one of my favorite comedians, Chris Gethard, and the day before we recorded, he was on Conan, which I was like, oh my god. To put in perspective, I go to my job, my job I work at a psych hospital. No one I know work with even knows who Conan is. Like, it's not a bunch of pop culture people. They're like, oh, Conan, didn't he used to have a show on NBC? I'm like, but it's fine because I'm the nerd there because I like the Marvel movies. I'm like, they're really popular. But it's nice, I think, which I love about that, because like it's so nice to go work, talk about the work stuff and that stuff, and then they get to come and do the podcast world, and like sometimes it intersects, but it's so nice to be like, this is what I have to talk about because I get paid and gives me my house and all that crap. And this is the stuff I would talk about for free.
Yeah.
Which I do anyway, and I do.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love this guy already.
I have a Conan shirt. Of course he does.
He's wearing a Bonnaroo shirt. Let's
there
see.
You go.
Do you think he saw Conan in the year he went to Bonnaroo to get that shirt? Logan, if you're listening, you have to let me know.
I don't think Logan. There. This is like a newlywed game for co-host. I don't think Logan's been to Bonnaroo. I don't think he's been there, but it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me.
He's just like, okay, it's all over. Yeah, I can see that. Like, I couldn't agree anymore. You gotta really pick a topic that you want to talk about. Like, to me, I always think of it like there's a B.B. King quote I really like where he says that he's like, I get paid to play. No, I get paid to travel. I play for free. And for me, podcasting, like the board, everything behind the scenes is the stuff I don't love, but the reward. This is the reward. It's not the money. It's nothing else. Like getting to talk and connect with people is the part I just absolutely love.
Yeah, and it's that's something that is true. He probably has because he lives in Nashville.
Oh, that's true.
Fair.
Well, I'm pretty jealous about that. I've heard Nashville's great.
But it is hard. I mean, I am not actually a big movie nerd, obviously, because I haven't seen a lot of movies. And so it's really fun to chat with my friends because I have really great relationships with them and they know me and we can get along really well. But I do have some friends that are huge movie nerds. And so when I bring them on the show, I kind of have to be like, pull it back, like come back to me, because I'm not one to go down those deep cinematic rabbit holes. But
Same.
It's fun to talk to them, and I agree. I mean, the most fun part is talking. The most fun part is making the show. Everything else, the editing, the promoting, the planning, the producing, all of it, like that's not the fun part at all.
It's a great skill.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You got a fight on your hands.
I can't make fun from not seeing Star Wars. I know. I did it just for you.
I don't think I've seen the original trilogy, at least not in all sitting.
Now you can be mad at somebody else.
I don't really like them, to be quite honest.
I've passed the torch. And you're allowed to not like them. I mean, I have no desire to see the rest of them. Like
the prequels? Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I mean, I only watched a couple of them because my boyfriend was, during his COVID project, was to watch all the Star Wars movies in chronological order by story. So anytime there was a movie, I kind of showed up. So I've seen most of the movies now.
Sure.
And now he's doing the Marvel universe. And so I'm showing up for those movies.
Now, have you seen those before?
I've seen it like a handful. So I remember seeing, there's movie spoilers in this conversation. I never remember if it's Endgame or Infinity War that comes first, but
Infinity War.
Okay, so I saw Infinity War in theaters. We just watched Endgame the other night, so I've closed that loop.
Can I ask you, tears?
Oh yeah, did I cry at the end of Infinity War?
Endgame?
Oh, at Endgame, I felt things. I didn't cry.
I wonder if that was if you were in the theater, it'd be different.
Maybe.
I saw that in theaters, and I've never had that experience in my time. So my brother-in-law is on the autism spectrum. So I've known him for like 10, 11 years and like very high function, whatever. I've been to funerals, weddings. I've never seen him cry ever.
And you cried at the movies?
Every single, we saw it together, first night, sold out crowd. Every single person in that theater was literally, I mean, Myself,
Oh.
every person in the theater was just openly weeping and like gushing. The woman next to me handed me a tissue.
Oh.
I've never had that experience. Like, but I feel like when I watch it at home, I don't get that feeling. But I feel like in theaters,
Yeah.
it was the most emotional thing I've ever.
I think it's just because maybe I don't have
Well, Logan hates me.
a connection. Do not feel. Logan
Ouch,
has
Logs.
feelings. Sorry, Logan. I think maybe because I don't have a deep rooted connection
Sure.
with these characters. Like I had seen like
Right.
Civil War before and maybe one more of them, but like I don't have this like
Yeah,
deep rooted
sure.
connection to the characters. So that's probably why. And that's what I've learned actually doing Jackie Watches stuff is a lot of folks that are really into movies that I tell them I haven't seen, I go and watch them and I'm like, that was fine.
Mhm.
And the reason why they like them so much is they have this such a deep emotional connection, mostly based on like a childhood memory.
Yeah.
But it's like, I watched Top Gun and I was like, eh, like whatever. So it's interesting, but I'm sorry I didn't feel a lot of feelings during
Oh,
that.
I totally get. Have you ever seen the documentary Ghost Heads? If you ever
No.
got the opportunity, it's really good. It's about the Ghostbusters fandom, and like it
Oh.
follows around this like one kid, and then like at one point, he goes to like a shed with all his Ghostbusters merchandise. It's really sweet, and he just like breaks down crying and talking about how like Ghostbusters is how it connected him to his grandfather. And I
Oh,
was like, oh yeah, that's the
that's
reason I
so
love The Simpsons
sweet.
so much. And like, people don't ever tell you that. Like, I love like Star Wars. Most people it's because of their parents or whatever. And
Hmm.
I love that, but I have that too. I gotta watch something that could be like, first time I saw Star Wars, I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah, like I watched it. It was good. There was a story. I mean, I had questions, but it's fine. Like I watched it. I now can like be part of the commentary on it. So I feel like I'm part of the club.
Do you want to make Logan cry? Because he just told us how, and you're gonna keep this in your brain for later.
I don't know
I don't
what
know
that
what it is.
movie
Apparently, it's
is.
an anime, but I don't know much about that.
Oh, got it. Okay. I am not big on anime. I am not in
I have a
that world.
blind spot for anime.
Yeah. So Logan, now I know I've got your kryptonite.
So a year into this whole thing, why have you not quit again?
I think your comment earlier about like when you talked about like not being able to quit like kind of resonated with me. I've kind of admittedly like been a bit on the fence about what do I want to do with the show, and I started Jackie Watches stuff with the intention of some ending it at some point. Like I do not want to do this forever. Um, I want to have an end. I don't know what that end looks like. But I think like for now it's just fun. It's something I like to do. But once it starts to tip to like dread or exhaustion or those types of things,
I love that
um,
you have the language for that.
yeah,
Because I've
it's
had both of those without not having the therapy at the time to recognize it.
yeah, and I think folks are so tied to numbers and like downloads and all that. And I will be the first to admit that I look at that way too much. I go
Oh,
in
it's fun.
I go into Buzzsprout and I look at like, week over week, month over month and feel things based on what that says. It's almost like when you're trying to lose weight and the scale doesn't move or it goes up and down. Like, it's like you shouldn't be tied to those numbers. And it's so much easier said than done,
Oh,
obviously. But
guilty. And
but
I'll say that as someone now who has numbers, and I'm not bragging, but it's again 7 years, so it's like I pounded a
right.
lot of pavement. But yeah, but even then, I'm still like, But you got to realize, at least at this point, I don't know about you, it's like if I got 1 million downloads or 10, nothing changed. Like no one's paying me yet.
Right,
So I'm like,
exactly.
maybe working towards that. So maybe I'll start to care more. But I know I've also had to do that too. Like on a down day, the numbers destroy me.
Hmm.
And then on a good day, you're like, I can't believe 7 people wanted to listen to my show.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's like, oh my
God.
gosh, like yeah, like somebody shared it or like retweeted and
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
so
you're a data nerd?
Jackie does love data. Yeah. I'm big on it. I can't say goodbye to
It's
it.
so much the microdata, the
Data is
metadata part
great.
is it's
Yeah.
the cool thing is by just making one as a hobby, you're learning a lot of skills that if you ever choose to, you can go like take within this industry or other stuff. But like if you can run like podcast data, if you can learn like metadata for podcasts, that's like the lifeline of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, truly that got me a job. Speaking of, it's so funny you say that because I was interviewing, I don't want to say got me a job, but I think was a big part of me getting a job. I was interviewing at another college that I used to work at, and they were interested in starting a podcast. And I had podcasting experience from Higher Ed Social, and they were like, this isn't technically what we're hiring you to do, but we're interested in maybe having you help out. And so I got to like produce and host and do that for the school, which at the time was so novel. Now it's not. Like every college has a podcast, but it really, those skills are so helpful. Even we were talking earlier, listening skills, public speaking, like there are good things that can come out of podcasting.
Yeah, and I just like recently learned how much like iHeartRadio like pays like like they charge. Like I was doing something, we're producing a podcast, and it was like for someone else for the first time. So I'm doing all this research, and they're like, "Oh, podcasting can start from anywhere from $600 to $5,000 to $5,000 an episode." I was like, "What? How much?" And I was
Sign me up.
Okay. Oh, we got some stats coming. I don't know if it was a kick-ass podcast, not less so. Gauntlet dropped.
Wow.
He's dropping some shit.
Dang. Okay.
Take that, Joe Rogan Experience. I'm assuming that's what you worked on.
Yeah, that was the exact show, obviously, that I created. I don't know if you've heard of it. I don't actually know. I don't know if you've heard of Serial. Have you heard of Serial?
God, I wish. I wish. I love Serial so much.
Yeah, it was everybody's like gateway podcast for sure.
Season 2 was actually my favorite.
Interesting. I was much more a season 1 fan.
Season 3 was too hard because it got to like talk about kids getting hurt, and my daughter was just born. I was like, nope, can't do this. Too sensitive.
I'm going to put this here. I was actually thinking of this earlier today, and I will be honest, I was thinking of this and said, how do I form this into a really funny tweet? But I couldn't get it quite right. So I'm just going to say it here because I just think I'm so funny. Like, is there in the afterlife, like whatever type of afterlife you believe, like let's say like heaven situation, whatever, the good place, like whatever you want. But in the afterlife, is there someone or a group of someone's that is doing a podcast on unsolved mysteries, but they interview the people that were murdered on like here, and we still haven't solved it. So like when I go
this is a really good idea.
Like, so I don't know how to call dibs on that before I die, but like, I want to do that. Like, I want to go interview people that like are cold cases or like went missing or whatever.
Is it comedy or is it serious? Like, do we go like full on like Taika Waititi produces it, or like someone like a comedy guy?
No, I think it's definitely not like drama. It's not Serial, but it's not quite a comedy either.
Maybe like a Mike Schur, where maybe there's some heartwarming moments.
Yeah, like we're gonna like have a chat because we have to talk about how that person died. Like, and that could be
6 Feet Under. That's what you're looking at. You're talking about the first few minutes of season 6 Feet Under.
There you go.
Make that into a podcast.
There you go. Yeah. So I call dibs on that world, like afterlife. That's what I'll be doing in the afterlife is creating a podcast.
I've joked that like if I'm ever in a Castaway movie I've never seen situation, I would make Wilson and just interview him. Like I can't stop. It's so addicting.
That's so funny. I actually do. I have seen Castaway. The episode has not come out yet, but it is coming out the week after next. So keep an eye.
Got some ideas here.
Reenactments? No, because you don't really reenact a podcast.
No, but if like. I feel like you're going to make a TV show out of this.
I mean, sure. Why not? I'm sure I'll be very bored in the afterlife.
Logan can do everything.
I don't know why they didn't find me. My head was in Ross's Ridge.
So Chad is a wonderful sci-fi writer. Turtle Rock books.
Chad, if you will write this as a book, like I demand just give me a credit. Like, just give me a credit, but I would love to read this book of the podcaster that interviews dead, like, cold case victims in the afterlife.
That would be like you can do like a comedy bang style of that.
TM.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now, but I'm giving it to Chad if he wants to write it.
Yeah. Chad, how many books? He's written like 7 million books.
Oh my gosh.
But it's a lot. Like every time it's like volume 13 or like 25. I'm like, Jesus, dude. And we're we live in the same state too.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
We don't know if you've ever met, but you never know because we're both part of the same writers club. But 13 books.
13.
13 more than I've read.
I thought you were going to say 13
true?
I've written.
I hope that's not true.
I hope for your sake it's not true.
I mean, we're talking school books too, or just like for fun books?
I mean, didn't you have that like summer reading thing over like when you were a little kid and you got a free pizza or whatever?
I didn't do it.
Oh, you get a free pizza though.
Yeah, you can. I'm a podcaster. I would just like read the back of it and then just talk my way in circles around it.
Maybe you've read the equivalent of 13 books.
Yeah, I know. I've definitely read 13. What's the last? All right, I'll embarrass myself. The last book I read was Springfield Confidential, which was Mike Reiss, writer for The Simpsons book about his career.
Oh, very cool.
And then I read the oral history of The Wire during COVID.
Fun.
And then probably one of those good books you all read about science and shit.
That's fun.
What about you? Did you read a real book? Are you gonna be like,
yeah,
something good?
I'm so glad I finally have an answer for this because I actually was not much of a book reader. But because of COVID, my friends and I decided that we would do a virtual book club, and
That's awesome.
We've read, I think, 4 books now. So currently we're reading the book Nothing to See Here, which is very good so far. It is about children who, when they get angry or upset, burst into flames.
Whoa.
It's like sci-fi light.
I love this.
Recommend.
That's so cool. I like the virtual. I was even thinking, I've interviewed several authors and have not even read the books of the people I've interviewed.
Good for you. That would scare the living daylights out of me.
Why would I do? I think I'm usually upfront about that ahead of time to be like, just so you know, I'm most likely not going to read this.
Yeah. Like I want to talk to you, but you need to understand that I will not reference anything in your book.
Yeah, I have lied. I don't know if I should say this on live air. Oh, whatever.
Say it.
Chad and Logan, this is for you.
Safe
There was
space.
one time I was interviewing a director and it got all set up through like a PR agent, through PR and everything. And the PR people had not sent me the movie. They sent me the wrong movie of the person I was, but I didn't know what we were doing. So they sent me the wrong link and it wasn't into like maybe minute 2, but I'm like, oh my God. I did not see your movie. In fact, I saw a completely different movie and I didn't know what to do. And I froze and I had my friend, Sean, who's a filmmaker, was my co-host and he hadn't seen it. We both were in the same boat. So I text him. I'm like, all right, man, we're going to pull this one off. And I'm not going to tell anyone what that is, but they can figure it out. It was awesome. It came out great. And then I told them afterwards, like the person it happened to, they know afterwards, they laughed so hard because I watched a movie, just not theirs.
Yeah.
And then I did go on and watch the movie and it was wonderful.
But it's not your fault, which is good. It wasn't like you actively were like, you know what, I'm just not gonna watch it. I'm gonna wing it.
Oh, that's funny. But authors are fun. I don't know. I don't usually dip into the author world too often. Sometimes they're the writer people. No offense, Chad, a little dry.
I have never actively interviewed a writer before.
Have you ever do a book like guest of like more like, oh, I want to talk to the writer of this movie or something like that?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. Chad, if you could hook me up with like freaking Tom Hanks to get him on the podcast, that would be stellar.
So we're going to need an old-fashioned typewriter. This is what Nerdist did. That's how they got Tom Hanks. They sent him like a classic typewriter because he's a huge typewriter fan.
Oh my gosh.
But they were a lot more established.
That's fair. I was going to say I'm too small of a little podcast but at the same time I'm like, Tom Hanks, like good old buddy Tom Hanks, do you think I would, if I just sent him a letter like, hey, I'm covering all your movies, can we just talk about it? Like, would he be like, yeah, I'm not doing anything? Like, I wish I would have thought of this when he got COVID, because then it would have been like, I know you're not doing anything. You're literally stuck in Australia. But yeah, I think that would be like a dream. It would be so cool to have those folks. I mean, that would be great if I could get like a Leo DiCaprio in there.
Leo would be good.
I don't love
did a podcast.
Does he?
He did what WTF with Mark Maron recently.
That doesn't surprise me.
My favorite thing is guest booking and like it gets the wheels turning. I'm not saying like I have a thing in my head. Like I've had guests on I've wanted to have on and it's taken 4 or 5 years. Like when I will like, all right, so let's like, how do we get you to Tom Hanks? Let's really think about this. So you got to start small. You can't just write to Tom Hanks. That's not going to happen. No. You got to find a way to get into his orbit. So you got to do the Kevin Bacon game, the 6 people. I guarantee you could. I think maybe we can get you to Helen Hunt. Maybe we can get you to one of the writers.
That would probably be better. I probably have more of a chance. I would need to see.
Jackie Top of actors too.
I would love to. If you all want to hook me up with some actors,
I know plenty of actors. That's easy.
that would be great.
I'm gonna hit you up afterwards. You would be great with the Bechdel cast gals. I love them.
Oh my gosh, I was fangirling about them and wanted them on my show.
Oh,
that's so funny you say that.
Yeah, they were. I interviewed them as well. Yeah, they were on my show.
They're great.
Let me tell you how wonderful they are as human beings, because I got to work I moderated a panel with them during COVID at our writers club as well. They're so sweet. We had done a podcast episode. It was earlier, and then before my daughter was born, I banked up a ton of episodes. I recorded 7, and then my computer crashed, and I lost 7 episodes. One of them being the Bechdel cast.
No.
They were so nice. They came back and re-recorded.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I don't know why, but like whenever I comment, they've just been really nice to me over the years, and like you have no reason to be. And like I pitched, they joined us for this we have in Rhode Island in Providence. There's the What's Your Writers Club, and I got to put together a panel called "Leveling Up: How to Monetize Your Podcast." Nice. And we're like, oh, we got to try to get some names. I'm like, oh, that's Jamie and Caitlin, and they said yes.
Oh wow! Yeah, they're super cool.
I guarantee you can get that. But this is back to the Tom Hanks things. All right, if we can get you to the Bechdel cast, so that levels you up.
Connections.
It's all. That's how I get really super weird about. I get way into this nerdy stuff. This is like the thing I love the most.
Listen, I'm looking for a producer to not pay. So if you're interested in not being paid to hook me up with cool guests, like.
I will totally take you up. We're gonna hit you up after.
Yes, this is what dreams are made of.
It was Logan. Yeah, you'd be great for our club. We have a Let's Chat club where obviously we don't produce, but that's the way we all kind of like. I love that though. Bunch of the folks in the stream around there, we all support each other, and then we and stuff like that. But like if the way I think of guest booking, like if you want Tom Hanks, like you have someone of Tom Hanks level has to come on first.
Absolutely.
That's like you work your way up. So like
it's really a matter. Yeah, it's a matter of like who like. Oh, I gotta get
Robert.
Up there.
We love Robert.
Hi, Robert. Nice to see you.
Sci-fi remnant, Mr. Robert.
So many sci-fi friends. I love it.
So we can definitely get you Bechdel cast, and they're pretty well known. So if you can get them in your podcast, then you have a whole nother level of playing field of guests you can get. I guarantee you would be able to get at least. You know what you gotta do? Start small. Like find someone who had a small role in the movie.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Tom Hanks also is a science fanatic, like a space fan. So
He's big on
that level. Instead of being like, let's talk about your career, ask him about talking about like astrology or whatever the hell people do.
He's a super nerd and like super into NASA, which I learned. So yeah, I'll have to figure.
NASA person join you.
Could do that. Or it's like, can I get Liv Tyler, a la that thing you do? And then like connect.
Well, yeah. Oh, yes, that's true. World War II. Yeah, start a podcast just called.
Right.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it would take you some years. I think if you really put your mind to like Tom Hanks and then work your way, I think you can get there.
Eventually. Yeah, it's definitely a slow climb.
Like it's easy to get actors who had big roles and small roles in big movies. Mm-hmm. Like I got to interview someone who had like a small part in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Like literally cool. On the screen for 1 second, but it's Star Wars.
Still in
right?
it. Still in it.
That's huge.
Yeah. I've got right now I have a great connection. I'll do some more podcast plugging. His a podcast is called Pretend. It is by Javier Leiva. It is a great podcast where his whole shtick is interviewing people who pretend to be something they're not. So a lot of con artists.
Podcasters.
Yeah.
Us.
Accurate. So accurate. Oh, that hurt so bad, but it's so true. But he like interviewed the real Donnie Brasco. Like he's like, yeah. And he's a Raleigh podcaster, like shout out to Javier. So like, you just have to grind and really just say like, you know what, shoot your shot. Like the worst thing that they say is no. And you definitely have to take a calculated risk.
You don't even get a no. I think it's nothing. That I heard someone say this, and I really hold it true. It's the only thing better than a no is the only thing better than a yes is a fast no.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I did actually try to reach out because I did do a mini series that I have for my patrons, where I got my boyfriend to come on the show because he is not big on public speaking, and we did 3 Hallmark Christmas movies. So I did a mini series called Jackie Watches Hallmark Christmas Movies, and I did send an email to one of the stars of one of said movies. I'm like, she's a Hallmark Christmas movie. I don't even remember her name anymore, like
Yep.
at all. But it was through her like contact form on her
Twitter's where it's
website.
at.
I should have done Instagram or Twitter, but I was
Yep.
scaredy cat and I should have just done it, but she
Yeah,
never responded.
yeah.
But
I was really, 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 and still am, but a huge fan of the show iZombie when it aired. So like I would watch it every week and I'd live tweet about it, and then I ended up getting to interview one of the, and now call a friend, Bob Deere. I got to interview one of the writers because of that. But then inadvertently it got me connected to Rahul Kohli, who is now famous, but at the time was not.
Oh, nice. See,
Like
that's
that
it.
was
You got to get in early. Like you got to
yeah.
get
So
in there
sometimes
early.
like when I got to interview Travis, it was awesome, but it was just like interviewing another podcaster who was like 7 steps up the. I mean, he was still farther along the journey than I ever have been.
Absolutely.
But it was still a big deal, but it was like it wasn't now. So sometimes you just got to get in. But that's what helps too, though, right? Because now I can go right to someone and be like, I interviewed Travis McElroy. Oh my God, he's a huge star.
Yes, he
Everybody
is.
knows he wasn't.
And I was he definitely was at the time. So
yeah, like I interviewed her name's Dana Shorts. She has like a podcast and she writes like a lot of stuff, and she's like not famous, but she's like writing for like She-Hulk and stuff now. But we did it like 6 years ago. So now I can just write to anyone and be like, all right, do you like this Marvel show or Noble Blood?
Yep,
So,
just send it along.
yeah, my theory is if I can get a message to someone and I can put a name that they recognize, then I'm like, I think I got it in.
No, that's totally it. You need that clout building.
Yeah.
And so, no offense to my friends, but they're not going to give me clout.
We got to get you some clout.
Yeah, I do try to collaborate with one podcast each season, which is super fun to do. There's a great little like mini podcast party celebration that I was a part of this past October called All the Horror, where a bunch of horror and horror adjacent podcasts. So I just kind of slid in there because I'm like, there's horror movies out there.
Yeah.
We'll basically like try to promote each other and bring each other on the show. So
pod swap.
Yeah, basically,
huge.
just have each other as guests and that. But then I got asked by another podcast to participate in an April Fool's switcheroo pod feed drop. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this goes back to like how caring and welcoming and giving folks in the podcast community are. But it's been fun to just be like, hey, can we swap or can we work together and collaborate on an episode?
Yeah, and you stick it long enough. Some of the time, those people you just are like little whatever, and then they go off and do something huge. Or I have developed like very good friendships, and like my business partner Brie, we met on Twitter, and then I interviewed her. She was a fan. Then I interviewed her, and then we have a bank account together.
Whoa!
Yeah, we run a business together. Just
that's a big step.
Yeah.
That's a really big step.
I only have that with one other person in my life, and it's my wife.
I was going to say, when I swapped Starbucks login passwords with my boyfriend, that was a big deal.
Whoa.
Like a big deal.
That's
so
really
having
serious.
A bank account is like...
Former barista, so I get it. I worked at the Bucks.
There you go. I successfully I skipped that, but I did work retail and waitressing, so and bartending. So
I think you have, if you wanted to take your show, I think you got whatever it is.
I appreciate your support.
Your nerd friends and get you some club guests.
I need to be friends with all the celebrities is what I'm hearing from you. That's how I need to revamp.
Oh, the great thing, or the favorite thing is just find someone who's like a big name in a small community.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
It's the best way to do it. Well, I feel like I'm saying this as this is everything I did was completely unintentional, and now I can look back and be like, this is why I did it. It was just more of like, oh, what are you seem cool?
But you learned.
Yeah, like kind of honing that craft. But yeah, it's booking's my favorite thing outside of the hosting. It's the part I get bad about it too. I have to. And I'm at the point too. I get offers a fair amount, and I'm like, but I have to hear a name to be like, I
Yeah.
want to not sleep because of that now.
Maybe I'll have to. My father just got tapped to help do a commercial, be a testimonial for a local doctor. So now that
Ooh,
I'm related to a minor
a
celebrity, maybe
celebrity.
I start with him, and that's the
Yeah.
first step. Like, yes,
Yeah.
have you heard of him? He was the guy that showed up in that commercial for that doctor
Only in
in
where
Buffalo,
were
New
you?
York.
I forgot
Yeah,
where you. Yeah, I forgot where you lived.
Buffalo. No, you're fine.
Yeah, and their
I've lived
podcasters
all
are
over.
great too. I think that's been the best thing because then you get to introduce each other to like this, like the other
Yeah.
people's audiences. Like that's like, it's fun. Like the celebrities are great. Like you know what's so funny? Like I've been fortunate. Like I've gotten like some like I've gotten in like Vulture a couple times and Huffington Post.
Oh,
It was
great.
awesome. Like you know that was
Yeah.
something to show your parents. Number wise, eh. And then I got like a write up in like a local around here, like a local magazine, and
Hmm.
you would have like, whoop.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, we all want to see this commercial.
Need to see the commercial. Yeah, it
Our
is.
viewers
I
always
don't think
really
it's
quiet.
aired yet, but
Oh,
I
we just
will.
need to see it.
I will try to
Yeah.
find it.
Oh my God, was that already an hour? Oh God.
Oh gosh, we talk so much.
No, this is great.
We
No,
have
I
so
got
many
a
things
couple
to talk
minutes.
about.
What so I mean I know everyone's gonna go everyone watching this and will continue to go on and watch this is definitely gonna listen to your show.
I hope
Um
so.
are you part of film? Do you use the hashtag Modern Family?
No, I do not.
That's the first start. It's a really wonderful community of people on like Twitter and all the different stuff. The idea is that you see it, you retweet someone else, and then someone who sees that will retweet. Like, so if you do like
Oh,
whatever, hey, here's my new episode, hashtag Modern Family, and you see someone with a podcast who retweets you, that you go to their page, you pin it on your top, and then you retweet it. So it's kind of like there's no real
that's so
figurehead. It's
nice.
just like kind of a nice thing. Like the indie podcast scene really sticks together. And then it's like,
Yeah,
you know, it's great to have Tom Hanks, but no, it's pretty cool.
it's
But and
really
it's funny how
freaking cool.
sometimes those people like you don't like people like, oh, okay, you got a small little podcast, and all of a sudden you got like 10 diehard fans forever because they
Hmm.
did yours. And so yeah, you pick them off one by one.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if I were to have a Tom Hanks episode, everybody would download it, and hopefully some people would stick around, but I
Yeah,
don't think it would, like, it wouldn't make me the next Travis McElroy. Like, you
yeah.
you just have to have good
I hope it
content.
Tom seems
I mean,
fine.
I would hope so. Like,
But yeah,
I
no,
would love to still talk to him.
I've had that experience as well to be like, oh, I just did this. I'm like, oh, that didn't do what I thought. Especially now,
Right.
celebrities don't mean names anymore.
That's
Like
true.
it don't mean downloads like it used to be.
I mean,
But
honestly, what I need to do is just call like a 14-year-old and have them advertise for me on TikTok, and I'll be super famous. Damn, I should
yeah,
be proud. Yeah, this JK Pancake, I agree.
yeah, thank you, JK Pancake. Yeah, you should. Everyone should do this. This is why we do this. Yeah, Taylor Swift. That dude. Oh my God. Listen, I've tried.
Does she have a
It is
podcast?
hard. No, I wanted her to be on mine.
Like, hi, can you just be Taylor Swift? I just
She
need you
like
to
lives
come
in
and
Rhode
be Taylor
Island
Swift.
sometimes. I loved her documentary. Her music's incredible.
I love
Um,
that.
I mean, I don't know him, but like I grew up in the punk scene, like in the like the music punk scene in like Connecticut, and like
Yeah.
had a lot of friends and ties to New Jersey. And Jack Antonoff is from that world, so I have friends who are friends with Jack Antonoff. I'm like,
You could get there.
it's that weird thing. I don't know if you ever had that experience too. You also have to know like there's this weird like boundary you have to have when you know
Hmm.
someone who knows someone famous to be like, yeah, that's probably why they stay friends.
Yeah.
You can't make that request. So I definitely have tried to put those pieces together for years. Give it another decade. I think we'll get T Swift on here.
Yeah, good luck. I'm thinking about like how many degrees I am from a celebrity. I've got like 2 degrees from Rob Gronkowski, because we went to the same high school, so we have
Get him on your
mutual friends.
podcast.
Yeah, but it's Rob Gronkowski, and I'm a Bills fan, so
You know much
um,
more about football than I do. We're talking football, right?
we don't like Rob Gronkowski.
Me neither then.
Boo Patriots.
I live in New York. Boo.
Boo. But then I'm also like 1 degree.
It's true. I could.
You can trespass. Yeah,
I have.
basically.
I have been in front of her house several times. It's in Westerly, Rhode Island. It's on the beach, and it's really nice.
Just slide notes under her door.
The bodyguards with the guns do not like that.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Then you get to talk about how you got shot by Taylor
By
Swift's
Taylor
bodyguards. I would listen to that podcast.
Oh, my deathbeds. Oh, hold on, Logan.
2 degrees. I'm a degree from a former Bachelorette contestant.
That would be fun.
So that might work. I'm also a degree from Andre Reed.
Logan,
More
who are you
football.
to? I'd love to hear that.
I think Logan's going to say LeVar Burton, and then I'm going to tell him that he's not technically a degree from LeVar Burton.
Wait, really? You know LeVar?
He doesn't know LeVar. He met LeVar, which is equally cool.
Cons are a good place too.
Yes. We actually met, LeVar Burton was a speaker at our higher ed work conference,
yep.
which is very cool. If you kidnap stars, that will get guess views. Yeah, maybe that's the tactic.
Oh, it's not LeVar?
Not LeVar. I don't know then. I mean, he does work at a very big music school in Nashville, so probably some musicians.
Literally everyone.
Country musicians.
The best thing to do if you find something like a name-ish you want, like the tricks, like you always hit them up on the Passion Project.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'll send you the video actually. It's from
I didn't know there was a video.
Yeah, there's this video my buddy David made. He's a producer for the Unwritable Rant. He's like another indie podcaster. And they were getting like actual celebrities early on. And then everyone's like, how are you getting celebrities? And we're all like, I don't know. You being a nice podcaster, he just made a YouTube video and he's like, here's exactly how you book celebrities. And it's just like, here's how you write it. Here's when you ask. Here's what you look out for. And it's what he's like my mentor. It taught me everything I did. Like I learned like real DIY. And then that was the video. I was like, oh, this is how you talk to like how you do it. And like I started getting no's from people, and a no is actually a win nowadays. Like an ignore is like normal. A no is like
they read it
because we want to keep the relationship alive for possibility down the road.
Yeah, well, and they actually paid attention to it. It just feels good to be like acknowledged at that point.
I usually I try to always get my way in and talk to the person directly, so I don't work with it, but it's fun. God, it's so much fun. Did you listen to Blank Check? That's a big movie podcast.
No.
Oh, that's one of the big movies. That's one of the bigger ones. Yeah, that's a good one. Who else have I know like, and sometimes you'll find like Chris Shiflett, who's in the Foo Fighters, is now doing like a solo country thing in Nashville. Oh. And like he also played in like a bunch of like bands I used to love, and I'm like I was like, all right, I should try to get him on, because no one from the Foo Fighters is going to talk to me about the Foo Fighters. But if it's going to be about your like country music thing where you're a complete outcast, Logan, you know Chris Sheffield. Can you help me?
Get it together. Make the connection.
You're in Nashville. That's how this works, right?
Yeah, everybody in Nashville knows each other.
I would assume.
Obviously.
Man.
Very cool.
Who else are we booking?
I mean, now I've got the possibilities are endless. I'm gonna have to look at my list of movies for next season.
Yeah,
and let you know.
I guess for like the actors or writers in them, that would be real fun.
I mean, I would talk to anybody who's participated in creating a film. Oh gosh, is this going to be like? Actually, I know a guy who knows a guy.
Hey, that's pretty crazy.
But still good.
Yeah, I was a huge for the fan. Yeah, a lot of people know people in Nashville. I like this Logan guy. Should we turn to tables and just start interviewing him?
I'm so glad I could bring you guys together.
Yeah. Is Nashville anything like the one episode of Masters of None that I loved?
Oh, I've seen Masters of None, but I don't remember that episode.
They go on a date, like they do a date, like a first date or second date, and they get like a really cheap ticket and they go to Nashville for the day.
Oh, I forgot about that episode. That whole show made me sad, and that book made me sad, because at the time I was online dating. And so it was just like, it hits different when you're single and online dating.
I get to have a guest appearance from Kelvin Yu, who plays his friend on that show.
Oh my gosh. Very cool.
Doing an interview with a couple of the writers. He's a writer for Bob's Burgers, which I did not know.
Oh.
And so I was doing an interview with a couple of the dudes, John Schroeder and Stephen Davis, and they write for Bob's Burgers. And Stephen and Kelvin are right, and like they're so nice, and they're just like, anyone else you want to come on? And I'm like, yeah, you got Kelvin back there? And he's like, actually. And they went into the other room and brought him in. He came on for like 5 minutes. I was like,
what do you do? Unexpected. Oh my gosh, that's so great though.
So that was really cool, because I genuinely love that show.
A lot of people know each other in Nashville. Very cool. Wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Well, Jackie, this was super fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's always fun to make connections. So I'm so glad that we had the chance.
Oh, I'm such a fool. I was supposed to do this an hour ago.
What?
The little bar so people could follow you online.
Oh
no. Well, let's hope Bree doesn't see this one. Of course she did. No, that's fine. I think people who watch the show at this point are used to it.
Go follow me. It's just Jackie Watches. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, what a great name too. Jackie Watches. What does she watch? stuff.
Just stuff. What's actually great is I just started streaming on Twitch as well, and I'm Jackie Plays stuff on Twitch. So I'm starting
I just
to
have a Nintendo Switch.
really get that brand. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or not Switch, on Twitch. Sorry. Did I say
Yeah,
Switch?
I need to,
Twitch.
because I don't like doing the other. I try to get into Twitch. I can't really get into it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, it's like podcasting, but easier because you just get to play the games that you want and you don't have to think about like anything else.
I gotta figure out how to do it because now, like I just got the Switch and I finally have games I want to play a lot. And
Nice.
like
Yeah.
I love Mario games. And like a couple and I know some podcasts who do like their live show streams on there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole other world. That I don't have the. I podcast in a closet and in my pajamas, and so if I had to be camera ready while podcasting, like no.
Yeah, no, it's like I do like TikTok. I don't use it. I have one. I'm not great at it, but I really enjoy it. But like I was doing like the data one time. We were doing I would figure out who my demographics were. I was like, yep. All right. How do I start finally getting listeners who are under 40?
Oh, so sad.
I'm
not on TikTok, so
yeah, it's really cool. It sounds terrible, but like if you could, it's really fun. It's really creative.
Yeah, I've seen great work. I've seen great work on TikTok.
Where can people find you online?
Oh man, so if you want to find me, I'm at Jackie Vitrano, basically everywhere. If you want to find the show, it is at Jackie Watches, as per down here on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. Just search Jackie Watches Stuff Podcast. The website is JackieWatchesStuff.com. My personal website is JackieVitrano.com. If you follow me on Instagram at Jackie Vitrano, it's just my cat. So
I love
pretty much all I got.
Logan, hit me up at some point. We'll have to have you come on as well. And
I will connect you.
Come on together and we can have a fun. We're actually just started booking. So anyone out there, hit us up.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been an amazing 5-star experience.
Oh, we're gonna use that on our.
I'm gonna review you on Yelp after the broadcast.
Finally, someone. So anyone out there, if you like, you could everything for us is let'schatpodcast.net. The most recent episode of Let's Chat with Chris Revel, we had Chris Gethard from Beautiful Anonymous, the Chris Gethard Show, and The Office, which was pretty crazy. And I don't know what else have we done. I don't know. Who cares? At Let's Chat Revel, at Let's Chat Podcast, and all the things. Everyone have a good rest of your evening.
Bye.
Bye. And I hit